I'm Summer Huntington of Shala and Steel Mace Vinyasa, and today I'll be breaking down a Warrior2 lunge loaded and show you why it's so imperative to train this open hip conditioning drill. Most athletes that train in the gym, so think your CrossFit athletes, any of your ball sport athletes, your runners, your bikers, most people are moving in a singular plane. They're moving forward and back or up and down. The piece that's missing in our training is bearing load in what's called an open hip position. So in yoga, it's very common for us to hang out in open hip position. Open hip is just this wide-legged stance. Our center of gravity is low to the ground, and there's external load, external rotation in the front leg in the ball and socket joint. So in yoga, the most common position you'll see that's open hip is here. So first reason why we want to train open hip conditioning with a little bit of load to improve our athleticism in our ball sports and our running, our biking, any sort of functional movement pattern that you have. So if I'm limited to the range of a squat, like this, do you see how low my hips go here? And if that's the only way that I'm training to get more hip mobility, it's going to be a really long time before I actually access new range. When I change my center of gravity and I bring a greater degree of rotation into my femur bone here under a light load, what's left is the ability to get into a deeper squat and a deeper skandasana, which is essentially a pistol squat. So being able to hit the bottom of a pistol squat with the heel down and being able to move back into Warrior2. So let's go over how to train a Warrior2 lunge. I'll cover two different versions, the level 1 and the level 2 from my Steel Mace Vinyasa program. So to train for starters, if you're brand new, you should always start with the level 1. You'll start with your feet in a pretty wide stance here, rotate your front leg open, and then start with your mace in a reverse guard position. So your bottom hand is closest to the handle or the knob. The top hand is in a mid-grip position. The forearm is below the chin, not up here, but it's below the chin. And everything is married pretty solid here. So my level 0.5, folks, you're just training that open hip position. Don't worry about bringing the mace too far over the head. Just place it under the chin and work on generating torque. So it's this rip, crush, shoulder pack sensation. If you have the shoulder mobility to bring it up into a horizontal overhead position, really great for shoulder mobs. You can integrate your Warrior2 lunge with the mace overhead. So this is technically level 1, which is a static Warrior2 lunge. Now, let's say we wanted to take that into a dynamic position. To move into it dynamically, at first, I can start by lifting the front leg, externally rotating, and then landing shallow here, because my hips might not be used to landing in that extreme angle. So I can start here. Eventually, over time, I can lift my leg pretty high, lift, open, land, hit that Warrior2 position. Lift, open, land, try to land with midfoot balance. If I wanted to progress it, I could add a drop swing, pivot, come back to the starting position, parallel feet. Lift, open, land. If I don't have a drop swing yet, I could do a partial drop swing, working on that proprioception, having a helper hand guide it, or a full drop swing, returning back to the starting position. Now, in Steel Mace Vinyasa, we train layers of complexity, we train footwork, we train proprioception, reaction time, agility, a lot of things that you don't normally get from just training at the gym or training with static weights. So what I just showed you was a conditioning drill with several different levels. When you hold an asana, it's a different game. So we're combining these conditioning drills that I just demonstrated, doing reps of those, and then when we go into loaded asana, what's left is that memory of how to wield load in the position. I can move through all of my open hip postures with ease. My extended side angle, for example. So notice in the loaded asana here, I'm actually just weight bearing and transitioning with my mace through yoga asana. And I'm generally holding each asana for anywhere from like 3 to 5 breaths. Now, when I take my load away, this is where the magic of Steel Mace Vinyasa happens. It's called post-activation potentiation. So now that I've trained it, I've conditioned it with my reps, I've added load, and now when I take the load away, observe. I can hit my Warrior2 with ease. My body knows exactly where to go because I held a mace there. Pivot back to my closed hip position here. So when you're building your Steel Mace Vinyasa workouts at home, you want to make sure you have anywhere from 3 to 5 Steel Mace Vinyasa conditioning drills packed together. You want to follow it up with a loaded flow on the right and left sides. I cover this in all of my online programs, but I just want to break down the importance of training that open hip work. If you're struggling with hip pain, low back pain, it's likely coming from a lack of mobility in the hips. And so as you start to mobilize in these new ranges and add load, take the load away, what's going to happen is you're starting to access stability throughout the entire ball and socket joint and in greater degrees. So then things like picking up your kids or picking up your laundry, picking up heavy things becomes a lot easier because you have a greater degree of range of motion to actually get down and pick up the thing that you need. Versus rolling, rounding forward, picking it up from your back because you don't have that range of motion in your hips. I hope you found this valuable. I hope you add some loaded asana conditioning to your practice, and can't wait to see you guys at our events that we have planned all year or in our online community. Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear how this landed.